Hey everyone. I'm going to be doing a test video here with my Necromancer. We're going to run the same dungeon twice. Once with a minion-centric spec, and once with more of a caster bent to it, a bone skill caster bent. Now the minion focus spec is kind of centered around we're trying to fortify. We still will be doing spells. Bone Armor and Bone Spirit are the two that we're going to be rolling with no matter what. But for the minion focused build, what we're doing is we're combining Sever. We have a couple abilities on our items that deal with Sever and Blight. So we actually have points in both Blight to get you and your minions deal increased damage to enemies within Blight. And Sever with, damaging enemies along the path, that's fine, but dealing increased damage for each minion you have. So that's we have 8 minions up. That'll give us a nice 16% boost to Sever every time we cast it. Now the reason why I'm doing this combination is because on my character, I have a couple things going on. One, when Sever crits, there's a chance that it spawns Blight underneath the target that deals bonus damage. So we have an okay chance of there being a Blight pool spawned. And then on top of that, when Blight's defiled area, when spawned, pulls in enemies around the affected area. So the idea is to drag enemies in closer to kind of group them up to take advantage of getting smashed by Bonestorm, and when we cast Bone Spirit again, to sort of have enemies grouped up to take a lot of that extra damage from that sort of synergy. Additionally, we're doing thorns, so not only do we have a good stack of thorns on us, I did a barbarian build that also covered a lot of thorn stacking. But we've done a good job of stacking thorns on our Necro. We have the upgrades to both our golem and our melee skeletons to give them 50% of our thorns. So whatever thorns we have there, they also have it. So this is very much a minion heavy thorns build. We're trying to, again, group up enemies to take advantage, so that they're all kind of stacked together to take advantage of our other skills. But lots of thorns. We did increase the damage and life of our skeletal mages by 45% as well, and I'll cover that in a minute. But again, we have Bone Spirit with if it crits, the cooldown's cut in half, and it has another 10% chance to crit. And we've combined that with Bone Skills have a 1.5% chance to crit for every 10 essence, when you cast it. The idea behind Bone Spirit is you cast it when your essence is full. It drains all of the essence that you have to do, in the case of having 100 essence, 300% damage. So the Bone Spirit will be doing typically around 1,800 damage when it lands. And this increased chance for crit then gives you for every 10 essence you use when you cast it, a 15% increased chance to crit. So 15% there, another 10% there, so plus 25% chance to crit. On top of our already, we're right around 8 or 9% chance to crit. Yeah, 8.9% chance to crit. So with that, on top of that, we're getting to a 30 or 40% chance to crit. On top of that, when we have Bonestorm activated, our critical strike chance is increased by 20% while it's active. Bonestorm is active for 10 seconds. So now we've gotten up to around a 15, 25, 45 plus 9, so a 55% chance for Bone Spirit to crit, which is pretty significant. We're going to have those abilities active pretty much in both builds, but for this build in particular, because we're doing more of a minion focus, we've got minions, when they do damage, they have a 12% attack speed increase up to 36%. So faster attacking minions. We also have the AoE thorns damage. I'm not entirely sure if that is granted out to minions or not, but that's one of the things I'm going to be testing at this point. We have increased damage while we have barrier active, and we've got a barrier trigger going on. We also have, while your barrier is active, a chance to ignore incoming direct damage from distant enemies. That's a 25% chance to dodge, which is pretty significant to, one, sustain the barrier, and two, just not take any damage. We also have skills deal up to 42% increased damage based off of the primary resource when cast, which, again, when we are casting Bone Spirit from 100% of our essence, that's going to be another 42% damage buff to Bone Spirit. It just kind of makes a crazy, ridiculous stack. But this is the first roll through of the build with a thorns heavy setup. So my thorns is set to 353. And most of my minions, the melee ones and the golem, all have 50% of that thorns as well. So they'll all be running around reflecting 180 or so damage. Sometimes it goes up or down. I think it's because the golem has a damage buff where he does 20% more damage or something along those lines. So they'll be doing 180 to 200 thorns damage in and of themselves. If something hits me, it'll be taking even more thorns damage. But hey, enough of the talking. We're just going to roll through this dungeon once with our thorns minion focus build, and this sort of group up kind of build to squash the bugs. And then when we're done with this run through, I'm going to respec into a caster focused build with a few caster focused, a bone spear and bone spell heavy build. And then we're going to roll through the same dungeon again just to see how it turns out. Let's go. This is probably... To slay the night hunters, apparently, to get through that door. Oh, well, I guess they're all three together. Perfect. fully fortified. If I could land a hit while being fully fortified, that'd be great. The thing I'd like to improve on this particular build is getting more crit for Sever to upgrade its chance to crit. I feel like it could be better, and then the synergy with the Blight Pool would happen more often. I don't really need it. But it would be a nice to have. Again, kind of working with the items that I have to get the bonuses. I mean, I'll show you some of these thorns items that I have after we get through with this little part here. Let's pop this now. Frozen, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, just to cover the thorn stuff real quick on some of the armor things. The chest piece I have, I want to talk about like the upgrade process too. The chest piece that I had when I first upgraded it, it only had 22 thorns. The first upgrade took it from 22 to 24. The second one took it from 24 to 28. And I'm not entirely sure the reason why yet in the process, but the third upgrade added plus 44 to thorns. So it took it from 28 all the way to 72. You look here, it's actually maxed out. I don't know if that's because of where the roll had been, because there was a randomness to it or what, but I could see that it was going to get this giant upgrade. And I've been looking at my other items and testing out upgrading other items now to see if they get that same giant jump. And I haven't seen it on any other items yet, other than this chest piece. And then I went and I stuck 2 second-tier emeralds in them to get another 78 thorns on top. So this chest piece is huge for thorns right now. The shield also is pretty solid for thorns. I upgraded it a couple times. Again, I was looking to see if there's going to be a huge third jump in terms of upgrade, and it didn't get a huge jump. But still, it's sitting at 102 thorns. Those are the 2 big items right now. I'm still actually looking for a good pair of thorns on pants, which would give me a much larger increase. On my barb, the baked-in thorns that he has is just over 400. So sitting at 353, not a bad roll. I'd also be looking for a good roll of thorns on an amulet as well. So I'm still missing a couple really key pieces that would make this build even bigger. Although having this needle flare circle, again, I'm not entirely sure if the thorns damage dealt, if that applies to my minions or not. The roll's really low too, 22% isn't that great. Yeah, I'd be better if it was 40, but I just kind of wanted to cover those thorns items in case they were missed before. I'm kind of mousing over my other items in case people want to see what the rolls are on those. Nothing else really heavily contributes to thorns other than that. So let's keep moving through this minion heavy build here. We gotta drop off one of these boxes and go get the other one. Four guys in here. This. Oh, we got feared. That's not what I wanted to do.
I'm not ready. Need more essence.
Well, it kind of worked because the since I popped the golem ability, he becomes unstoppable and taunts, so he kind of drug in all of the bad guys at any rate, making that relatively easy to do. Sure what this lever does, but okay. Had one more lever to pull. Well, I guess we know where the... Plus I couldn't resist.
Ready.
The only thing about these bone casters is being that they give up their own health to cast, so they die that way, is that they end up crapping out, and then you have to recast to summon them again if you don't remember to regularly summon a priest to keep their health back up. I mitigated that a little bit, as I mentioned in skills, by giving them more life and damage. So I realized I didn't show you the actual spells, but for my skeletal mages I took that it reduces the life cost of their attacks, and after being alive for 5 seconds they deal 40% increased damage. So initially between fights they get pretty strong, they start hitting good, but if they get killed or wear themselves down to death, then they don't have as much damage And you just have to deal with that until you can kind of get through the fight. So that's the issue with the skeletal mages as far as that goes. With skeletal defenders, warriors, I took defenders so that they get 50% of my thorns instead of 30%. And then with the golem, same deal. I took 50% of thorns and 10% max life. Obviously, the reason why is because this build was aimed at being a thorns heavy build. I wanted, since I had done a barbarian thorns build, I wanted to see how capable the thorns build for the necromancer would be. It's pretty capable. I mean, I can walk around for a lot of things and just let the minions do their work, and not really, I can focus on picking up loot or maintaining stuff. On boss fights, it's a little more involved because then I need to manage cooldowns for Bone Spirit and regaining all of my essence, because when you cast Bone Spirit, all your essence goes away. So looking at that, maintaining that sort of rotation while also trying to keep the caster minions from disappearing. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop out. I'll pause this for a minute, pop out, and respec all of my stuff, reset the dungeon, and run the same dungeon again, but with a caster heavy spec, so you can kind of see the comparison in terms of damage. Okay, so I've respec'd mostly into a bone build. Still have Bonestorm and Bone Spirit, but now I've gone for Bone Splinters, mainly for the 8% critical strike chance, and I've gone for Bone Spear for making things vulnerable, and also I have some skill synergy with Bone Spear, also because it's a ranged attack. But Bone Spear's primary attack makes enemies beyond the first vulnerable for 1.5 seconds. So in addition to me making the first one vulnerable with Bone Spear, I make the other mobs vulnerable as well. So they're all going to be taking 20% more damage. And Bone Shards from Bone Spear do 50% damage to vulnerable enemies and pierce them. So that's a good buff to Bone Spear. I did take Corpse Explosion, which is a good skill in its own right, but I took it mainly because I have these gloves that when I consume a corpse, it increases the damage of my next core skill, so Bone Spear, by up to 50%. Again, putting a lot of points into Bone Spear. I still have, increased damage while I have a barrier. I now have an offhand where I deal up to 30% more damage while standing still. That'll affect all of my skills, including Bone Spirit. And while I mentioned Bone Spear and Bone Shards, those are the big changes. Like I said, I still have Bonestorm, whose damage has been greatly buffed by some of the shifts that I've made. And I have Bone Spirit, which now has a lot of points put into it as well. And if you were to add up all of the crit bonuses I have, while Bonestorm is active, it's going to be a 20% crit chance increase. When I cast Bone Spirit, it's another 10% for Bone Spirit, so that's a 30% boost to Bone Spirit critting. So we're at 30. If I do it within the window of triggering the 8% critical strike chance, now we're at 38. And if we add in my character's base crit chance of 18%, we're at a 56% chance to crit. There might be a couple other modifiers in here that I don't quite recall having woven in, but without even factoring in any other modifiers, we're already over a 50% chance to crit with Bone Spirit every time it lands. I thought about pumping it even more with these nodes here, the Serration, which could get me up to about a 70% chance to crit, but it came at the cost of actually ranks in Bone Spirit, and the actual ranks in Bone Spirit, numbers math, hand waving, I went with the points in Bone Spirit. I felt that they got me more damage overall by pumping the base Bone Spirit damage, knowing that I'm going to be draining all of my essence to increase it, as opposed to just trying to get the 50% damage increase from crit, if that makes sense. So let's just roll on through. Like I said, Corpse Explosion is mainly to be proccing the 50% damage increase that I can get. You'll see how this rolls here in a second. The map layout changed. Oh, that won't really affect anything. Vulnerable mobs. Big. I have a 40% damage increase. So just pick that up occasionally. Also, you know, if anything's happened to be next. Oh, lethal shrine. Ooh, treasure goblin. Come here, buddy. Where'd you go? Hold on, I can't get the lethal shrine yet. We gotta kill whatever's around here first. Come on in. Let's do this. Shit, I think I hit the... Yeah, I did. Oh, I think I lost the gold monkey.
I need more time.
Thought I was gonna die, didn't you? I mean, sometimes that happens, man. Wish I would have gone after the gold monkey and skipped that shrine, because now I don't have that shrine. I mean... I do have the shrine. All your hits are crits. Ooh. Dang it. I'm trying to pick up that one. Yeah, most unfortunate missing that. Oh my gosh. Well. Definitely feel a little bit squishier. But that could also just be that I, you know, kind of jumped in the middle of a bunch of bad guys. Didn't pop all my junk last time.
I cannot carry more.
Kind of full. 1 second. Okay, continuing on. Ooh. Obviously, with range casters, sometimes you can't really see all the off-screen action.
Out of essence. I'm not ready yet.
All right, here we go.
I need more essence. I need more time.
I mean, felt about as good. I mean, this was the second time I fought him, so I knew a little bit more about what to expect. Only looking at the clock will tell me if it wound up being about the same amount of time. I mean, felt like it was about the same amount of time. The damage was really good. If you look back through the video, there was a 4,500 or so hit on him. I'll have to compare that to what the... I feel like that was a lot bigger hit, because now I have more ranks in Bone Spirit. And just, a larger essence pool as well. Again, it went from a 300% damage increase to a 345% damage increase when I dumped all of the essence on him. So that all contributes the extra 8% chance to crit. Gave it the bigger chance of doing that. Another 50% damage on top of that. Giant damage. But overall, I mean, I like both of the builds. I do like the thorns idea for things. I definitely feel like having more minions in front of you reduces the amount of damage you take. This build isn't... Most of my gear was sort of optimized for kind of doing the minions sort of work. I still have like thorns gems in my chest piece. If I was doing a, maybe more of a caster bent, maybe I wouldn't have those, and maybe I'd have different gems in there instead, and have swapped a couple of things around. And again, it's still not fully optimized. We still don't know all of the legendary abilities that are sitting in the game, but definitely Necromancer has been one of the enjoyable classes that I've played as far as the beta goes. And hopefully you liked watching the video. Don't forget, please, to leave some comments down below. Tell me what you liked about the open beta, what you liked about the Necromancer, or any other class for that matter. What maybe you're looking forward to. And please don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Those likes help me out. Subscribe for more content notifications and stuff like that out of me. And I'll catch you later. Thanks a lot.